Welcome to Boost Biz Ed as we launch into our new fall season. Excited to get going again here. We took a little break over the summer and we're going to head back into it. Excited for our first speaker, which we'll get to in a moment. What the heck is Boost Biz Ed? Everybody wonders that. Everybody. I started Boost Biz Ed almost 9 years ago, back in Denver, where I'm from, as a way to connect business experts with the businesses that need that expertise, because every business needs a little boost. We need some encouragement, some insight, and how to take that next mighty leap, I like to say. So that is what Boost Biz Ed exists for. To give us a little networking, a lot of insight, and some action with education. I use that word actionable intentionally because it's education you can do something with immediately. So you can immediately make some improvement to your business. The allies that are involved with this, and I am looking for other allies. Boost Biz Ed does run here, obviously. It runs back in Denver in 2 locations still. It's running in San Diego. And each location is a collaborative effort of allies. We have an MC who's up here doing what I'm doing. We have a coordinator who kind of helps check people in and do things there. Everybody helps promote. We need people to be brand ambassadors for Boost Biz Ed. We have media and social media are also 2 key things in there as well. So we're getting our team back together here in Corvallis, Oregon, and excited to launch. We have our next speaker is in the room as well. We'll talk about that later on. Let's see. And for our allies, we create a script that is customized each time, and that is what I'm cheating at and looking at right now to figure out, make sure I'm saying all the things I need to say. We always appreciate when you share Boost Biz Ed on Facebook and Twitter and things like that. If you're inclined to do that right now on your phone, you can check in and whatnot, you are invited to. Let's see. Action forms. There isn't. Oh, I didn't give you one, sir. These action forms we use to get a little feedback on how we did and how we're serving you, and also to point to action again. Use that word a lot because in a moment we're going to go around and get to meet each one of you, but then at the end we'll go around again and hear from each of you what kind of action you feel inspired to take after hearing our presentation today. So, anything else I need to hit? I got it all. We are on Facebook Live. Hope that's all working well. Oh, and our one very strategic ally, and very fortunate to have Corvallis Foundry kind of helping us sponsor this. And so, thank you, Brad. Brad's out there as well. But unfortunately, there's some other things going on right now, so they can't be in the room. But at the end, we'll also kind of hear from our allies as far as how you can take action with each one. So now let's find out who's in the room. I'm going to leave Facebook Live just going as it is right there now. If you want to come and bask in the limelight up here and introduce yourself, you are welcome to, or you can introduce yourself wherever you are. Can we start in the back, sir?
Sure. I'm Andrew. I don't really have a business yet. I'm kind of working on a startup, and that's stuff to do.
What type of business are you thinking of starting at?
I guess it's a music-related business. It's sort of an online music business.
Okay. Oh, very cool.
I don't want to describe it too much detail, but
Yeah, we'd have to all sign NDAs,
yeah,
you know.
NDAs.
Teammates. All right, glad you're here, Andrew. Yeah.
So I'm Victoria, and my business here in Corvallis is Meat to Perfection, serving my Corvallis, Philomath, and Albany area, and here to learn a little bit more.
All right, glad you're here. Tammy, would you like to introduce you?
Yeah, I'm Tammy DeLeon with On Target, and I work with people helping them to gain control of their life and live intentionally.
Intentionally, I like that word.
I like that word too.
Yeah. Who are you, Scott?
So, Scott Smith, I am a motivational listener. I actually work with people that are starting up businesses. And the great thing to start with is the problem. So you don't have to describe what you do, but if you tell people what problem you solve, that's a great start and no NDA required. So I work with startup businesses, digital marketing, and that type of thing. So there you go.
So to follow up on that, the problem I saw is that there are not enough bands in the world, basically.
Okay, there we go.
Not enough bands, okay?
Yeah, okay, good start.
It's a band incubator, sort of.
I dig it. Yeah.
And I forgot to introduce myself, and I'll introduce Avital in just a second here. I'm Drew Shockley. I didn't even say that at the beginning. Who the heck is this guy up here? In addition to doing Boost Biz Ed, I have something called Call to Action Alliance, where I help businesses kind of identify how to create the best website possible by digging into what their business passions are, how to separate themselves from their competition, and just create real engagement online. So that is what Call to Action Alliance does. So, and do this as a way just to build community and to find new people to work with. So great to be here. So no more ado. Let's kick all the ado aside. No more further ado. Let's get to our featured presentation. I'm excited. We'll read what I'm supposed to read as an introduction. But we met. You have been spending a bunch of time in Denver recently, and so that's how we kind of got connected with some Boost people out there. And then, as it turns out, you kind of have a home closer out here, so that's exciting. And where's my? There it is. And I am pronouncing your first name right. Avital. You will find out. Okay. I mean, I won't steal your thunder.
So do we get to decide, or is that?
You get to decide. Avital.
Avital. With more of an emphasis on the end.
Exactly.
Okay. Today, Avital Miller of Avital PG Miller LLC presents Full-Bodied Biz Success. Avital Miller is known for inspiring people to experience boundless energy, absolute happiness, and true success in order to live the best life possible. A former program manager at Microsoft, she is an award-winning international keynote speaker, healing breakthrough facilitator, and global dancer. With rousing applause, please help me welcome Avital Miller.
Nice.
How many of you want to live a vibrant life? How many of you want to fulfill your dreams and your goals? Okay, just want to check in, make sure that you are all in the right place. 80% of success is just showing up, which means you already made a good decision and you can pat your neighbor on the back and say, good decision.
Well done.
How many of you have ever had a bright idea or dream before in the past? And then maybe you were excited, you started sharing that dream with somebody else, and they started telling you how hard it's going to be, how it's never been done before, you don't have the skills to do it. Anybody ever experienced that? I remember when I wanted to get my home on the coast, people were telling me all about the weather's going to make it really hard and it's too windy and it could blow your house over and the salt is going to ruin your house and you'll never be able to maintain it. These things happen, right? One of my teachers actually said that I am a one-woman campaign against you'll never, which is why I'm standing up here in front of you telling you about this. As Drew mentioned, my name is Avital Miller. We are getting into full-bodied success mastery here. And I want to thank Drew very much for bringing me here. It's a very big honor also to be able to relaunch the group for the season, to meet you all as well and to be a part of this. I'm loving meeting you all so far. And would it be okay if I share a little bit more about what brought me here today? Okay. I actually, by age 27, was already a program manager at Microsoft. And then I was a yoga and fitness teacher trainer, a fitness director. I was teaching 25 to 30 classes all over town. I was known as the Energizer Bunny. And I felt invincible. And that was until I started having issues with fatigue, my hair falling out, my muscles turning to fat and becoming weaker than my students. It was a little concerning. Maybe I'd be out of my job soon. And you all might realize if you lost your ability to look at the computer, to speak and share with kids, you would be a little concerned as well. I did what most of us would do. I went to the doctor. The doctor gave me a diagnosis of an autoimmune disorder called Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism, a large dosage of medication, a handful of supplements, then sent me out the door saying, that's it for life. I figured if that's it for life, I better learn a little bit about this disease. I started reading online, reading books, going to all different types of medical practitioners. I even went all the way to India, studied one-on-one with an Ayurvedic doctor for 2 months. All of that really helped steady me. Then I started to meditate, and I started to not feel well. I started to feel worse. And I went to the doctor, and they said, that's because you're overdosed on your medication. They lowered my medication. And I continued to meditate some more. I felt better, and then I felt worse again. Went back to the doctor, run the tests. You're overdosed on medication. That went on for 4 years as they were tapering me off of the medicine. And by the end of that, I felt, if this is happening for me, then what could happen for other people? Which stirred me to share these natural healing techniques around the world. And you know when you open your ears to something, you tend to hear a little bit more about it. I was meeting people who were told that they're going to die in a few months or a few hours. But I was meeting them years later when they were fully healthy. After a few of these stories, I knew I had to put that in a book so that people know that this happens. She's already looking over here. This is the book, Healing Happens, Stories of Healing Against All Odds. My story is in here, and then interviews with 17 health and healing experts of all different kinds. There's over 20 diseases addressed in there. Here's the thing that happens with this, is after I wrote it, I made a list of all the success strategies used, and I noticed that that list matched what I did as a program manager at Microsoft, matched what I did as an entrepreneur, also other areas of life and relationships and happiness. There's a mindset of how we go about overcoming seemingly insurmountable challenges, how we get to that success no matter what those naysayers along the way are saying to you. Are any of you curious to know what they are? I will share 4 key takeaways with you. The first one, does that say? Reason to live. Yes. What I didn't tell you is there's a lot of audience participation. Hands on your heart, please. Open your arms forward and open, as if there's this vast, wide opportunity and reason to live. So you're also going to say reason to live as you do that. Reason to live. Reason to live. Yes. I don't care if it's because you want to see your kids grow up, or watch your kids walk down the aisle, see your grandkids grow up, finish the last page of a book, see success in your business. My favorite story was of a woman who wanted to finish a soap opera series. When we focus on where we want to go versus where we don't want to go, we tend to feel better and we tend to get more momentum in that direction. I have an engineering degree. I also like to think of this in terms of physics. When you have two forces going against each other and they are equal, what happens?
Stasis.
Stasis. Nothing happens. We have the technical term over here. Now, we have your disease and your reason to live. Okay? And the disease is stronger. What happens? It takes over. But if you're infusing power in your reason to live, what happens? It takes over. That's right. And I'm not going to say that this is necessarily bad. I don't like to make judgments for people, because sometimes it's also about gracefully leaving. But where we put our energy is where our attention is going to go. It's where the magnetism is going to flow. I was at a job where I was getting a bit bored, and I hadn't been dancing for a while. Dancing is my favorite thing to do. I actually specifically gave it up because I was going through this process living in that spiritual community where you give up everything who you are, and then who you really are comes back to you. And the dance came back. I started dancing, and all of a sudden I liked my job again. I had more energy, I was more productive, I was more efficient and effective at my job because I was bringing my reason to live, the things that I'm passionate about and love doing. And the reason why I mention this is Dr. Bernie Siegel, in my book, who wrote Love, Medicine, and Miracles, he said that he noticed patient after patient with cancer, that's how they would overcome it, if they had a reason to live, to focus on. And then one of the stories there was Mamie Jean Lamley's. She actually originally was told she could never have kids, and then she ended up having 3 kids. After she had them, she was told she had advanced stage cervical cancer. She had to go through multiple surgeries, far from her kids, and it's very common to think cancer equals death. But she says, I want to live for my kids. So cancer does not equal death, because she's focusing on her, hands on your heart, reason to live. Yes. I'm going to do something with you guys. When I do this talk, I usually take a little bit longer to do it. So you're getting a little bit of the framework here. What I want you to do is just go ahead and stand up. And it's okay. You're about to stay out of the way. I'll stand here. The camera.
So they can see you.
Don't hit each other over here. You're going to walk in place. Don't worry about them over there. And you're going to repeat after me. I am awake and ready. I am awake and ready. Knees up. I'm awake and ready. I used to be an aerobics instructor. I am awake and ready. I am awake and ready. Good. Hands to your chest. And I'm positive, energetic, and enthusiastic. Again, all together. I'm positive, energetic, and enthusiastic. I'm positive, energetic, and enthusiastic. Knock your arms. I am master of my body. I am master of myself. I am master of my body. I am master of myself. And massage your entire body. Rejoice, awake my body cells. Rejoice, awake my body cells. Knock your head. Be glad, my brain, be wise and strong. Be glad, my brain, be wise and strong. Massage, moving the skin on top of your scalp. Awake, my sleeping children, wake. Awake, my sleeping children, wake. I also use this as the vanity removing exercise. So now none of us have to be concerned how we look because we all messed our hair. Thank you for playing along. You may sit down. With all that energy that I just infused in you, I'm going to ask this question. And this is something for you to think about and take home and ponder a little bit more later. But if anything was possible in 6 months, what would you manifest if you had all the time, all the money, all the tools, the smarts, everything that you needed, all the people? What would you do? What would you be? What would you have? That is a 6-month goal there. That is question number 1 for reason to live. one of my spiritual teachers, Swami Kriyananda, said, there is in each of us a special song to be sung. What is your name?
Mary.
Mary Avital. Welcome. Okay, you've got your reason to live. Let's say you have your 6-month goal, you're going along, you're starting at it, and then you hit those naysayers, and they tell you how hard it's going to be, you don't have the skills to do that, never been done before. So, number 2, key success strategy. What does this one say?
Don't listen to everything.
Don't listen to everything. Please stand up. Put one hand on your hip. Cock it to the side. I want to see some attitude. Arm forward, you with your men. Don't listen to everything. Don't listen to everything. Don't listen to everything. Thank you. I just do that to get a laugh out of us, actually. But here's the deal. In putting this book together, I found the numbers that nearly 130,000 people die a year from taking medications as prescribed. And then I find over 200 stories of people healing beyond the doctor's prognosis. Now, doctors are human too, so they're allowed to make mistakes as well, and they don't necessarily know everything. But I feel they're meant to help us heal, not tell us when we're going to die. But this is just an example of applying that information to health, but to other areas in life. How many of you have heard of Oprah Winfrey, Steven Spielberg, Michael Jordan, Walt Disney, Dr. Seuss, Lady Gaga? I can go on and on as the names of people who were told at one point that they had no acumen towards the area that they wanted to excel in. Lucky for us, they did not listen, thankfully. From my book, the story that comes out that always pops in my mind when I think of this is Maureen Bell's. She was given 4 to 6 weeks to live from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's a type of cancer. She believed the doctors. There she was, on her deathbed when her son visits to say goodbye. Her son remembers the strong single mom who raised him, who believed in natural healing. He asks her, "Why didn't you fight? Why didn't you fight?" She wonders, do I have a choice? Choice. It was just that trigger, and she started to heal. Then she looked at what was in her chemo drugs, realized one of them was made from her favorite plant. Normally they're going to tell you you're going to be losing weight, you're going to be losing your hair. It takes a long time for the chemo drugs to get into your body. This drug would actually also make people's urine turn blood red. After she realized what the chemo was made from something she loved, going into that last round of chemo that she was supposed to do before she was expected to die, normally it would take 10 hours for it all to get into her body. This time it only took 3. Normally her urine would turn blood red, but this time it stayed its normal color. Her hair was growing back in and she was gaining weight. She didn't have to listen to the prognosis, that she had 4 to 6 weeks to live, nor the side effects of chemo. This was a different situation before for her. And that's huge because most of us don't realize that chemo maybe doesn't need to have those side effects. But what are all the other areas in life where you don't need to listen to that message, to that prognosis that somebody is always putting out there? I had reading and writing deficiencies growing up. I just wrote a book that's a bestseller on Amazon and just won 3 awards. My dance teacher told me I would never make it as a dancer. I'm traveling in Mexico and this guy pulls me the first time I do salsa and tells me we can win a competition. I'm traveling in India for my first time with nothing planned. 2 weeks after I arrive in India, I'm performing at the Miss South India pageant, nationally televised in front of 1,000 people right there. Couldn't make it? There I am, doing this huge thing in front of all these people. So what are you going to listen to? Don't listen to everything. Welcome.
Hi, running a little late. Hey, Jay.
I believe that success is already within all of you. And you've probably already been successful at other things in the past. So literally all you need to do is remind yourself of that and think about how you can apply the success strategies from past successes to the challenges that you're working on today. We just start one step at a time, moving in that direction. Do what you can do. Yeah, circle your hands around. This is actually an energy healing technique. Moving the energy in your chest. Do what you can do. Do what you can do. Yeah, little steps. All we need to take. Dr. Brooke Goldner had lupus the whole time growing up. She thought she wouldn't live a long life, wouldn't get married, wouldn't have kids. Lo and behold, she meets Thomas Tadlock. He asks her to marry him after a month. And then she says yes, and she says, well, I want to look great if I'm going to get married. I really thought I'd ever wear a white coat, not a white dress. He puts her on his diet plan, except for one change because she didn't eat meat. So it ended up being a vegan diet, which before she wasn't vegan. 4 months later, right before their wedding, she does her routine lupus checkup. No sign of lupus. It is not in her system. For over 13 years, she has remained lupus-free in this wonderful marriage and has 2 beautiful boys. One change, diet. Do what you can do. Maureen Bell didn't become vegan. She changed her mindset. She used her intuition to figure out what to eat. So don't feel like you need to become vegan. You do what you can do. One thing affects another area, so that's also why the do what you can do is an important phrase. You start with your baby steps. You want to be a world-famous chef. You cook the next meal for your family, right? Drew's partner cooked a meal for this meeting. She's along that road. You want to be a fluent Chinese speaker. Have a 5-minute conversation with your Chinese coworker. And when you go back to that 6-month goal, what is that very first step that you could potentially take? This man wanted a Lamborghini or some other really expensive car that's maybe over $200,000, and he thought, I could never afford it. But all he did was look at Craigslist every day. He finds a used one for sale at $75,000, then finds a loan. All he has to do is afford the payments. Do what you can do. That's it. Anybody know Roger Bannister? First person to beat the 4-minute mile. After him, but before him, doctors, coaches, everyone said not physically possible. After, everyone else started doing it. Then you could do what the others can do too, right? Once we get it in our mindset, but we have to take that first step and that first action. And Sir Richard Branson, Roger, Nelson Mandela said it always seems impossible until it's done. That's the key. Do what you can do and start doing it, taking those steps. You're going along and you hit those roadblocks. You get sick one day, maybe you lose an account that was a huge account for you, you might need to find another one, whatever that might be. And when you get sick and disease, I don't feel that it comes from some divine retribution for anything that we've done wrong. I really don't feel that it's for a bad reason. And sometimes there may be something good coming out of it. Trish Davney was diagnosed with hepatitis C way back when they were first coming out with the term hepatitis C. Her doctor, of all things, left a phone message for her telling her to get her affairs in order. She's living life as she can, and she happens upon a singing bowl. And all of a sudden she starts singing to it and making this beautiful sound. She loves it so much that she just played with it on her own. 3 months later, routine testing, no sign of hepatitis C. She did research on sound healing and found out that it has been very curative for a lot of people, as it also helps bypass our mind. It tricks ourselves vibrationally into making that energetic shift to align with our natural healed state. And now she travels the country with about 10 to 20 crystal bowls, leading sound healing programs for other people. This huge gift that she got from this uncomfortable, terrible disease. And every one of the stories that I tell you, in my own story, I get the opportunity to be here with you because those changes taught me so many lessons that I felt inspired to share with others. And then I can help prevent others from going through those challenges. So, we have number 4, key takeaway.
What is the gift?
Yes, thank you so much, Tammy. Such a good listener. Where's our listening skills? Arms up above. Looking upwards as if there was the heaven, if you believe in the heaven, or just the concept of what the heaven can bring. All this light, your faces are shining as you're looking at the light, but you're going to sing to the heavens. What is the gift? What is the gift? What is the gift? How do you feel when you do that? It feels much better than, oh, this problem that's in the way. I'm starting this campaign to get people when they're in the waiting room at the hospital, because you just start to feel worse and worse while you're there, and you're watching everyone else feel worse and worse, and you have no idea if you're going to get better and when you're going to get seen. But what if we were all sitting there going, what is the gift? You know, what a shift that makes. You went into the doctor, what's wrong with me? What is the gift? Not to undermine the challenges that come up. But again, we're pointing our mind in what is the positive aspect. Where the mind goes, energy flows, and that's where we create the magnetism. So what type of magnetism are you going to draw towards yourself? Towards what's working or towards what's not working? Which one do you choose?
No, what's working?
What's working? I'm guessing you all do. Yeah. But here's the fun part too, when things aren't working. Anybody know who Sarah Blakely is? She's the CEO and founder of Spanx.
Yeah.
And I heard her talk, and she said her father used to sit them down, and once a week at dinner, he'd ask them for their failures of the past week. She said she could never come up with any of them. Finally, she got so excited one day, oh yes, I have a failure. But it taught her, she was auditioning for a play, and she totally sucked at it. But because she was excited about failure, in a sense, it taught her to have courage, to take the risk. Taking that step and looking at what she learned. What was the gift of the situation by going through that situation? It's very important for entrepreneurs, in a certain sense, to love failure, because that can become our teacher. And how many of you have ever found benefit from a past misfortune? Yeah, I mean, an apartment doesn't work out, a job doesn't work out, but then something better comes along. That's why we get to ask, arms up, what is the gift? Yeah. I find it important to really imagine, if anything was possible in 6 months, well, who would we manifest? Choosing what we listen to, looking for the open doors, being an active participant in the process, and when we hit roadblocks, seeing if there's a gift behind the situation. With me, hands on your heart, going through those 4 key takeaways. Reason to live. Don't listen to everything. Do what you can do. Ask, what is the gift? Beautiful. Thank you so much. Now, I mentioned that this is a very, very brief version of this talk. We did the exercises earlier called the super conscious living exercises, and I've constructed a patterning here to help us get deeper into being able to answer those 4 questions as well about the 4 key takeaways. And then you get to hear more of these stories as well from the book of overcoming seemingly insurmountable challenges. So there's not only this full-bodied success mastery that we're talking about here, but there is an actual online course that gets it interactive and fun for you to spend a little bit more time sitting with these questions. I'll tell you a little secret. Although now I know it's getting broadcast out. I go to these trainings, and I'm always asked, every time, like, what are your goals? What are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? And so I'm like, okay, I want to speak in front of 500 people. And then the next time I'm like, all right, I want to speak in front of 1,000 people. And then the next time I'm like, well, the 1,000's boring, so I want to make it 10,000. And then I hear, all these people have spoken in front of 10,000. And the next time, what is your goal? And I'm like, well, if 10,000 is possible, we have to make this more interesting. So, okay, I'm going to make it 100,000 people. Now people are like, when do 100,000 people get together? F the plugins. But I found out. But that's the fun of asking yourself this question regularly as well. Because we want to make sure that we are not minimizing our life. The reason to live component is such a huge part of that, because what a lot of people are doing is missing the boat. They're not even seeing what the potential is, what they love to do, and taking action with that. So even going through the processes that I've set up, it opens you up to say maybe this can be something huge. Made to Perfection isn't just a local Corvallis organization. This is something that I could manage countrywide and worldwide, so that all these Airbnbs get the perfect, maids to their doorstep, and they don't have to worry about going and finding them. They just find them at a good price right through Victoria. Is that it? Yeah, right through Victoria here. Right? But she might have only thought it's a local thing. And that's the key, is how much more exciting is life when we're going to that full potential. I like to hike, so I take an hour-long walk, and that's all I can do, right? Maybe. How many of you have ever hiked really, really tall mountains before? Is it amazing at the top? The view and the feeling, the sense of accomplishment? So are we just going to do that sea level, walk? Or are we going to go to the potential peak that we could make it to and see the vast beauty that exists in this world and can be in our lives? So that is why I'm going to drive these 4 key takeaways into you and what you can get from the online course. The book I mentioned has my story of healing from an autoimmune disorder beyond what was expected, and then interviews with 17 other health and healing experts. And how many of you love learning from experts? Yeah. And how many of you really want your family and your friends to be healthy? There's about 42% of Americans in the last 4 or 5 years have had a close relative or friend either be given a terminal diagnosis or be in a coma. So how many people could you help by knowing these stories and kind of having it in your pocket? And of course, the holidays are around the corner, so it's a nice holiday gift to get people as well. That healing happens, stories of healing against all odds. Now, because the group is just starting, and I haven't actually launched the online course yet. Obviously, I know what to put in it because I've been leading the program a lot. I wanted to give you all a benefit for this. I said I was going to draw
course.
Okay. I will pass this around, and you can fill one of these out for yourself, and then put it in the bucket. This way. We'll see who gets to win it.
Everyone get one? Who can write the fastest?
There should be something.
Wow. The book is $25 and the Full-Bodied Success Mastery course is $97. So this prize is $122 value. May I have a drum roll, please? Who is the winner? Drew, would you do us the honors of picking a name out of the
Okay,
bowl?
that's mine, that's mine.
Just feeling for the ink, I know
I
it.
wrote it right
If it's mine, don't count.
And the winner is Andrew Ross. Woo! All right, Andrew, come on up here.
There'd be more bands in the world now.
Here is the book Healing Happens. And then right, winner. So to get access to the online course, you can fill this out for me. You don't have to put credit card information. How many of you wanted to win that? How many of you would like to give me to give you a deal?
You think we have a better deal?
Okay, a better deal, yes. So as I mentioned, I wanted to gift you guys for being here to launch it, and it's book is launched, but course is not launched yet. So you get a free course launch. So I'm giving you huge discount, which I probably won't do again. And your price is only $49 for the book and the course. You're basically getting the course for $24 instead of $97. And I have these order forms. So if this interests you, you can take one and pass it around and write your information on there. Feel free to ask me questions later, and I'm happy to sign books as well. Thank you all very, very much.
All right, thank you, Avital.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, fabulous. You're taking my breath away. I don't know what to say. No, this is good. This has been a great start. As I promised that we would go around again and get to hear from you how you're going to take some action with this. I'm excited about this because my hope and my intention, I'm using that word a lot these days too, is that Boost Biz Ed is a place where you get a little bit of an eye-opening in some way, kind of a fresh breath in, because entrepreneurship and small biz can be a little bit draining, can be a little bit lonely, but I don't want that to be the case here. But in addition to getting some inspiration and taking that fresh breath in, I hope you kind of see a vision for some action that you can take immediately to do something better as you leave here. It could be a huge thing, could be a small thing, and that's what I'd like to hear from everybody. What I appreciated, I will try to start, and I will mold this into an action as I speaking this. I appreciated just, I don't know, when we took that first action, what was it we said when we did this?
Reason to live.
Reason to live, just the action in itself made me sit up straighter. And so the small thing I will do at least is incorporate more action into my business and how I do things, just to through my body, getting my soul realigned, if I can put it that way. But now I'd like to hear from you, each of you. You want to start us?
Yeah, I'll start that. So I want to echo the same thing. So, there's a lot of good advice out there, a lot of good things to read and to think about, and then you can incorporate those into your day-to-day activities or whatever. But very few of them have some sort of a tactile, physical motion that goes with it for memory reinforcement, if you will. And so to have that moment, so you could say, I can be somewhere, and without even speaking the words, I could still take it in, right? And so I think that's what I'm going to take with me, is the action for memory.
I like that. I agree. I think that the movement and the words, and I'm getting ready to do a words of affirmation training next week. And as you were going through those words and actions, I was trying to think about, wow, that's especially with middle school kids. What are some actions and some words that they can add to whatever affirmations they decide are best for them? So that's what my takeaway was, to come up with some actions and words that would help them just feel that energy and speak it as well. Thank you.
Yeah. May I add something to that? People are either kinesthetic, tactual, auditory, or visual learners. So it is really important to do the physical action as well.
Yeah.
So my takeaway from today is, what is a gift? Because I let
You got to do it, right?
yeah.
What is the good?
I am starting a choir later.
Yeah, letting even just a small thing build up over time, or even like I have kind of a big event happening this Friday that I've been like thinking about and toiling over in my mind, but I know that it's just something that will help me grow. So I just think that like, what is the gift? So thank you.
Yeah.
Mary?
Well, I think I really like the sport, and I also like the statement you reminded me of, where the mind goes, energy flows, and how important it is that it is all about how we see things more than even how we do things. Everything is created first in the mind, and that has to be uncluttered and cleared out, and you can't. Your energy is like depleted if it's just focused on the negative, the gap all the time. And it's easy to go there because if you are an entrepreneur, you want to achieve. And so often we spend time thinking, what haven't I done? I haven't done this yet. I need to do that. I need to do that. And so our energy is always in the need, and not in the creation of what do I actually want. If anything were possible, what could I create? And spending more time there. It's so easy to go to that, especially if you're production-minded and you want things to go.
Yeah.
So, that's good in my opinion.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Mary. Jess, welcome.
I'm about a third way through your book. I read it in the mornings. And I'm in a big meeting today at 5 where we're going to really formalize what we talked about when you spoke at the bookstore. We're developing a stewardship type website that brings payments to people to use a distributed network. And I've been working on this for about 10 days. And there's a term, the Thanksgiving part, that I always have thought there's something I call TNT, trust in Thanksgiving. Trust that you're going to go ahead and trust the people you're with until you're proved wrong, if that happens. And then Thanksgiving for the opportunities and the health to be able to do it. It's pretty simple, but there are a lot of elements that she talked about that fit.
Fantastic. How about you, Andrew?
Well, I'm a terrible night owl and I'm on 5 hours of sleep. sleep, so you're thinking of something.
Good right now.
But you know, I like the movement thing, definitely. I think that could be useful, you know, in a company to just kind of like have those regular sort of movement breaks, get up and take your eyes off the screen, and you know, the whole company wide and stuff like that. Yeah, you know, I'm a big singer. I love the singing element of that thing that you added into. Yeah, I always try to look for the gifts. You know, there's always it's really important your perspective on things, the events that happen in your life, the good things and the bad things, and definitely looking for the silver lining has been very rewarding to me in life. So.
Very good. All right. Thank you for sharing. It sounds like you all have something that you can go away with and take action. So mission accomplished. That's great. Now, you can even use your action form to write that down. You can even find an accountability partner to kind of put some initials on there for you. I definitely encourage you to take advantage of Avital's offer here. She's slashed it incredibly for us. If you're interested in space at the Foundry, you can talk to Brad or Emily out there. They have co-working spaces. That's what I take advantage of. It's just $100 a month. And I can get 24/7 access here to kind of come and go as I need to in the middle. They also have other desks for $250 and $300, just depending on your needs. They have a couple of desks still remaining. It's a great place to break away from the home if you're kind of doing a virtual office thing, and it gives you kind of some additional amenities such as this room, and you know, coffee, and even they have beer even. So some wonderful things like that, in addition to printers and you know, standard things that maybe you don't necessarily have, or you want to use someone else's printer cartridge rather than having to buy your own all the time. So yeah, check out the Foundry. You can talk to them here or online. You can go to corvallisfoundry.com. All right, so upcoming, thank you for being part of this inaugural kind of start things over again in the new fall for this season. Coming up, we're probably going to switch. This is like the fourth Tuesday or something. Is that what it is? We're going to try to switch to the second Tuesday, kind of rolling forward. So we have this. It's going to be once a month, and our gap is a little bit shorter than the next one. And our speaker happens to be right here. Mr. D. Scott Smith will be our next speaker, talking about intentional business on October 9th. At 11:30 right here. Do you have anything you want to share about what you'll be sharing with us at that point?
Well, I can tell you that if we look out into the future, 1, 5, and 10 years, we pretty much think where we are is where we're going to be. Who we are is who we're going to be. If we look back over the last 1, 5, or 10 years, we can very accurately describe how much we've changed over that period of time. So, but if we were to stand 1, 5, 10 years ago and look forward, we would also think we're not going to be changing very much over that next period of time. So that means that the change that we experienced up to today was unintentional. It just happened to us. And so that if we're standing here today looking out for the next 1, 5, 10 years, we're going to go through more unintentional change, things that we don't decide, unless we decide today to make that different. That is, we're going to underestimate how much we're going to change. So, there are steps you can take to be intentional about that change. That's what we're going to talk about next time at Boost Biz.
All right, yeah, so get your tickets while they're still available. And we had lunch today, thanks to my wonderful girlfriend, Avital. I have some feedback. If you didn't get some lunch, please grab some All right, and as I'm collecting some feedback for her on this, how it is, and she has aspired for a while to maybe start a little catering business or something like that. So your feedback to her is invaluable. So I appreciate that. And we have our own action form here. Please give us your feedback there as well. And if you'd like to take action with any of the allies that are listed there. You can indicate that as well. Let's see, I think we are wrapping up here. We have this room until another 15 minutes till 1 o'clock about, so.
And one of those forms?
Oh. Yes. Sorry. There we go. Okay, and I will wrap it up, so please hang out, get to know everybody that you haven't met already, and one action hire, we shall be planning.
And I just ask that for people interested in the book and the online course to take advantage of that deal here today.
The deal is here. Now, what if people are online right now? Do they have a time, like, in the next 24 hours, could they contact us and might, or is that just in the room? Just in the room. Sorry.
Well, you need to talk to me if you're interested. But if for some reason you have to wait a few hours, then just come talk to me.
Okay, time is of the essence. For those of you on the Facebook world, should have been here next time. Be here. All right.
Oh, Facebook world. Yes, you guys can talk to me by the end of today.
Oh, okay, so she is extending it to you as well there, by the end of today, 25th. So, all right, thank you
Pacific time.
for being here.